We're live. Okay, today is Thursday, January 2nd already. Hi, Randy. Hi, Mimi and John. So, John's issue about the UN hiring, oops, I forgot to turn this off, hiring disarmament officers to disarm people. Do you want to start there, Larry?
Yeah, I'm here. Oh, you're serving it up to me?
Yeah, do you want to start by talking about the UN?
Well, tell everybody that's listening what the story is, please.
Okay, yesterday, Larry said, please think carefully and use common sense before we all get panicked about the stories that we hear. We need to think about the people, where we're hearing the stories. Are they people that are always telling us the truth? What are their sources of information? Are their sources reliable? Or are they telling stories that sometimes are true and many times are not? We have to learn to discern who has correct information. So several people have put out this story that the UN has blue hats in New York that are there to disarm people. And, you know, our president is dropping financing to the financial support to the UN. And I get James Smith says Alex Jones was talking about it either. So it's spreading all over the place on alternate news. And President Trump doesn't want all of our participation in the UN.
Let me just say, one of the things that I want y'all to get in the habit of doing is the source that Mary Ellen said, history and facts. History and facts. Check the history of the people that put these stories out. I'm not picking on any one person or program at all. But if they have a history of things that they have said in the past that turned out not to be true, use that in making a decision as to whether or not you believe in the latest story. And then look at the facts. Now, in this case, I know nothing of the story truly, but from what little Mary Ellen has told me, which is just a general summary of the story, that the UN is placing, what do they call them?
Disarmament officers.
Disarmament officers here to disarm Americans. Folks, that's not happening. Fact, it can't happen. The UN at present has no legal right to disarm an American citizen. The UN has no legal right to arrest, detain, or otherwise hassle a United States citizen. So until and if ever there is a law passed through Congress giving them that permission, giving them a statute by which they can operate, that cannot be true. It is not true.
Now, what was it that Obama did with the UN?
The UN control of the internet. He gave them control of the internet, and he could do that. But he cannot and could not give the UN the power to come into this country with disarmament officers or anybody else and order the American people around. He didn't do it because he could not do it. That would have to come from Congress. It would have to come from Congress or from an executive order, and no such executive order was issued. And no such executive order would have withstood scrutiny with the Supreme Court, even a crooked Supreme Court. Now, of course, you have circle journalism. You know, you've got apparently Alex, Lisa Havens, and probably 10 others that have picked up the story from each other. And so since it's out there by several sources, right, must be true, right?
Yeah.
That's where a lot of logic comes from. Well, since it's coming from several sources, it must be true. That's not true anymore. You know, we have circle journalism that's eating us up. You know, one program hears it on another program, so they pass it on. And then the other program hears what that program did, so they pass it on. So I would ask everybody to just deal with this on a factual premise. No such officers exist in the United States of America. They have no statutory power. None. Then I would say, in addition to that, there is no way in 8 Shades of Sunday that President Trump would allow such a thing to happen in this country. Not under President Trump. It will not happen. So please, please be careful with that story, if you don't mind. And please don't pass it around. It's not true.
What about the Safe Cities initiative?
The what?
Safe Cities initiative.
Tell me what's out there about that.
Somebody just asked, what about the, do you know about the UN Kigali Principles or Safe Cities Initiative and their invitation into Chicago in 2018 by the mayor, I think?
Do not. But if the mayor invited them into Chicago within the constraints that the mayor could allow, meaning the mayor could allow the UN personnel to do certain things, but he could not allow the UN to exercise anything having to do, let's say, with the Second Amendment. Just because he's mayor and he invites UN personnel into his city, he could not invite them into his city and have them act on the Second Amendment, take away guns, etc., because that's a federal issue. It's outside of the purview of the mayor. I do not know what this Safe Cities project is. I just don't. But we will not be destroyed that way. So don't look that way. We have an immediate, severe, serious threat staring us down right now. And it is not the UN. It is not a foreign power of any sort. It is the progressive Democrats that are involved in this coup to overthrow our form of government. That is the threat that's on us. That should be a big enough, scary enough conspiracy story to fill everybody's programs. They don't need to go outside and find these, kind of stories like people to conform. They don't need that stuff. We've got a scary enough, real thing going on right now. I just don't understand. I just don't not enough of a spooky, entertaining story for people. I just don't. Anything else about that, Mary Ellen, popping up?
Pam says Safe Cities was to target crime on Skid Row in Chicago and Los Angeles.
Well, once again, I do not know. I do not put it past the Democratic leadership in these Chicagos and cities like that. I don't put it past them to reach outside this country and try to get like the UN people to come in and augment their police force. I don't doubt that. Because they are not going to allow President Trump to come in and do what needs to be done to shut it down. As a matter of fact, they blame President Trump for the crime and the killings. The mayor of Chicago, I saw a clip on him. He said, hey, I'm not killing anybody. Never heard such an asinine statement. That he should be held harmless, he thinks, because he hasn't killed anybody. And he blames President Trump. They all blame President Trump. They say President Trump has caused so much polarization in this country. This polarization is what's driving this bitterness and this hate. Like a newsflash for everybody. The killings in Chicago were going on long before President Trump was ever president.
Mm-hmm.
It was going on during Obama. Crime in Chicago is not new. Homelessness, that's not new either. Didn't happen just under President Trump. It's the way of the world today. If it rains outside, it's because of President Trump, according to the progressive Democrats that are trying to destroy this country and are conducting a coup to get rid of President Trump. This is what I told you yesterday. This is the year where it all ends. One way or the other, it all ends this year. We must stand up for truth. And to stand up for truth means we have to put out to the people around us the truth. Please be careful of the stories that pop up on the internet. Please. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm asking us to be careful. Use common sense, wisdom. The world's gone mad. There's no doubt about it. The world has gone mad, but we don't have to go with it. We can stay true. We can stay true. And one bit of news, real news, Bernie Sanders. I found out about communication from Bernie Sanders' campaign to the leadership of the Democratic National Committee. As it turns out, Bernie Sanders is actually making giant strides in the polls, the internal polls. He is nip and tuck right now. They look like to admit it, probably won't, but apparently he is nip and tuck with Biden right now, if not a little bit ahead of him. Elizabeth Warren has dropped off the chart. Sanders notified the DNC that he would not be cheated this time out of winning the Democratic primary. massive turnout and vote in the primary. It would not be enough standalone. I'm sorry. It would not be enough in a general election to elect it. It wouldn't. But the number of millennials, the young voters that he's introducing to vote in this election, that he's registering to vote in this election, and the momentum he's having among the young, exciting them to come out and vote. The millennials in a primary carry enough votes, guess what, folks, to win the primary. I'm telling you, the only way the Democrats are going to stop Bernie Sanders this election is to cheat him out of it. And he knows they're going to try to cheat him out of it. And he has so warned them in advance, he will not be cheated this time. Ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats have problems inside their party now. Big time problems. What I imagine the party will do is they're going to work hard to try and convince the candidates in the race, the ones that are not doing so well, to hurry up and drop out of the race like Castro did today. They're going to try to push all of these under candidates out of the race so that hopefully Biden or whomever the real candidate the DNC wants will be able to have time to get those people to convert over and vote for Biden or whomever they choose to be the one. They've got problems. Watch for that. There's nothing really we can do about it. There's nothing we can participate in. But it is something that y'all should watch. And watch how it plays out. And it'll be another lesson for each and every one of you as to just how crooked these parties are. They really are. You're going to see it. Now, if anybody's got a question, please get it in. Today, I'd like to give y'all a chance to ask. Before we go to the questions, go ahead and start sending them in. But before we go to the questions, I do want to make a point about Iraq. I'm hearing every side of the story about Iraq. President Trump did not do enough in retaliation for the American that was killed. Then on the other side, you hear President Trump's done too much. He can't win. But I will say this to all of you. You may not think his subsequent attack that killed 25 of these rebels was severe enough. But ladies and gentlemen, it was. It was. It was significant. It was definitely in accordance with his position, which is you kill an American, and we're going to kill you back, plus. Iran is playing a dangerous game with their proxies. And President Trump is not going to attack Iran properly. I wouldn't, and he's not. He's hitting Iran where it hurts. He just squeezes and turns up the sanctions. Folks, Iran is hurting financially. And it hurts them more to increase the sanctions and put pressure on their failing economy. And the Ayatollah, I assure you, is more worried about that than he is about losing 100,000 lives of his people. He didn't care about that. But he cares about his economy failing and continuing to fail. And President Trump has done a masterful job of putting the clamps on Iran and the Ayatollah. And if you're wondering why do that? The harder the president squeezes the economy of Iran, the louder the internal protest within Iran gets. And the Ayatollah is seriously facing a coup of his own. And just a little more pressure financially, and he'll be faced with riots beyond belief. And they can overthrow him if they will. So back to President. He's doing right. Now, Mary Ellen, anybody send a question?
Somebody was watching a show that said Pompeo went behind the president's back and attacked Iran.
That is not true.
And people are wondering why Trump's not saying anything about the Second Amendment in Virginia.
I don't know why he's not. I truly don't. I can tell you this. President Trump is an avid supporter of the Second Amendment. As a matter of fact, he is the most pro-Second Amendment president we've ever had, including Reagan. So, yes, I know.
Somebody's wondering if Iran can't take a bad economy just like North Korea, and that the sanctions, maybe he's wondering if the sanctions are going to make that much difference.
If the sanctions are going to what?
Make much difference. They can take it just like North Korea does.
No, they cannot. Iran cannot take it like North Korea does. It's impossible.
All right, here's again back.
People, let me explain. The people of North Korea, they fear Kim Jong-un as though he were a god. They would never, ever rise up against him. Never. That is not the case in Iran. The people do not fear the Ayatollah as though he were a god. They know him to be a tyrannical leader, yes, but they don't fear him as a god. So he can fall. What else?
Somebody heard another person saying that the Chinese were behind the Iran attack. Do you mean the Iraq attack, the embassy attack, Teresa? Is that what you mean? It's not the Teresa you know, it's a new Teresa.
I would doubt that China is involved. China has been trying, as I have stated here for some time, China has been trying to promote the hostilities between Iran and us. They've been trying. So it wouldn't surprise me.
Michael,
I did find out something that is significant, by the way. The former Secretary of State for Obama,
is that John Kerry?
turns out,
John Kerry?
no, it was one of his
Eric Holder?
other assistants. But anyway, they have been negotiating with the Ayatollah on their own, telling the Ayatollah not to fear President Trump, that he would be out very soon, and not to do anything, not to overreact, just to give them time, and they would take back over, and things would be back like they used to be. Now, that's never been done before, but it's being done right now. The past administration is literally working to tear down the present administration's relations. Folks, that's how bad it is. That is how bad it is. You have never seen that before.
Never.
Now they've been caught, but that doesn't seem to mean much. You're not going to hear about it on the media. I assure you, the media will not tell you about it.
What about what Rindy said about Michael Bloomberg and the caucuses? Do you want to explain how the caucus versus primary works?
Some states with the Democratic Party, and it does with the Republican Party as well, some states have caucuses. And that's where there are delegates, and they meet in like a convention, and they vote in the convention, and they pick their candidate, the one that wins. Other states hold what we would consider normal elections. Now, what Bloomberg has ended up in one of the states coming up, I think the first state is a caucus. And apparently he did not fill out the required forms in time to be able to make it on the ballot at the caucus. But I wouldn't worry too much about that. Bloomberg, I do not believe, has much of a chance to win anyway. And he would not win, and is not planning on, I assure you, winning in the early races anyway, in the early states. He got in too late for that. So what he's hoping is as they go through some of the early states voting, people will become so disgruntled with the outcomes of those votes that he will become a viable candidate towards the middle and end of their primary season. And it's probably been that plan since day one. Now, it does pose an interesting thought. If he didn't make the cut in the early caucus, then you see that time is running out for Hillary. If she's going to go, she's got to go now. If she doesn't go now, she's not going. What else?
There's been a lot of conversation about Hillary, and I think you just addressed it, so thank you. There's some comments.
Oh, we just had a flicker of power. I'm going to call you back. This phone.
You're still here.
Don't click.
You're still here.
Huh?
You're still here.
Let me call you right back. My phone's heating up.
Oh, okay.
Right back.
Okay. All right. All right. The question about Bloomberg was asked before the show began, and I was going to ask it next, and that was going to be the next question, which is why she just reminded me because I had asked. asked her to do that before the show. So we had a conversation an hour ago. And Hillary running to hide from her crimes may have been partly why she even ran in 2016, although I'm quite sure she thought she was going to win at that point. I'm scrolling up to see. I know there were some other things that, Pelosi and AOC. There were a couple of questions about Pelosi. And the articles. Yeah, he needs to watch his phone so it doesn't overheat. That's not a good thing, I don't think, from what little I know. He'll call back as soon as he can. Remember, folks, when it comes to the articles of impeachment and what Pelosi is doing, she's doing something that's never been done before, and the whole process with the House is something that's never been done before. Oprah Winfrey jumping in at the last minute. Oh my goodness, what would that be like? I mean, their potential candidates are just, oh my goodness. What will happen in Virginia? Well, the Virginians, the people who are going to go on January 20th to the state capital of Richmond need to be very, very careful. Welcome, Randy. Glad to have you here. This should be Larry coming back in. So I would just, Larry, repeating what you said yesterday about the people who are going to Richmond, Virginia, need to make sure they're peaceful, because we know that the Democrats are just looking for an excuse to blame the conservatives for starting trouble. So, okay, we had 2 new questions. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah.
I think my phone got hit by lightning. It was really lightning struck because my phone heated up, so that's weird.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to put you on speakerphone.
Okay, I can.
Yeah.
I heard you. Yeah. Be careful with that in Virginia if you're planning to go. It is my request. It's up to you. It's up to each one of you that go what you do. But I would wish that you would not go armed, because it's the perfect opportunity for people like Antifa to start something, and then our side will be blamed no matter what. Go and be peaceful. That's all I ask. That's me. But it's a decision each and every one of you that go, you should make on your own. Any other questions, Mary Ellen?
Yeah. What's the latest Hillary could jump in after could it still be after Super Tuesday?
Well, she could get in at any time theoretically, but reasonably, I doubt she could win if she gets in after Super Tuesday. I just doubt it. I mean, they would have to do cheating, which they're very capable of doing, but they would have to do a level of cheating that we've never seen before to pull it off, to get her in and to get her to win. But remember, folks, with the Clintons, any and all things are possible. She has a desire to be president that is greater than anybody has ever had, I believe, and will do anything to achieve it.
And of course, she can raise money like nobody else.
Money would not be a problem for the Hillary. And I'll be honest, right now, if Hillary were to get in, thanks to the fact that Sanders is beating Biden, and Biden seems to be the hope at this point for the party, I think they would welcome her. Literally, the people, the Democrats, the people in the party would welcome her. The average run-of-the-mill Democrat person, I believe, is smart enough to see that they've got probably the weakest group of candidates ever brought forward, ever. Now, most average run-of-the-mill Democrats do not know what you know. Y'all know, for example, that the people involved in the coup, they don't care who the presidential nominee is. They plan to win it by beating President Trump. So they don't care. Howdy Doody could be their candidate. If they're going to win, they're going to win by activating their base to such a level, such a fever pitch, that they come out and vote en masse to get rid of Trump. As a matter of fact, they're using basically the reverse model of Trump against Hillary. There's to be little doubt that in 2016, one of the great reasons President Trump won was the massive turnout of voters against Hillary. They obviously didn't like Trump that much, but they hated the thought of Hillary being president. Now, the numbers show, they say, some 14% of Trump's vote was not for him, it was for Hillary. I believe that number was more than 14%.
You mean for Hillary, you mean against Hillary?
Yes. I believe there were more people than 14% of the total vote that voted for Trump because they did not want Hillary. I think it was close to 20% or higher. What you got?
How many Republican senators do you think are going to vote for impeachment, or for, well, impeachment happens in the House, would vote to kick him out of office?
Well, there are four for sure. Four for sure.
That's Collins, Murkowski, Mitt Romney, and who's the fourth?
Collins, Romney,
Murkowski from Alaska.
and one other. I can't think who it is, but there are four.
Wow.
Gosh, I can't. My mind just went blank. But anyway, there are four solid hate Trump and would vote that put him out of office. Four, and we can only stand to lose six.
Seems like everything with him comes down to the wire, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Two questions about Pelosi. Do you think she's going to wait until after Super Tuesday to bring forward the articles of impeachment?
I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with Super Tuesday. I think it has to do with the timing, so that they can time out that the trial will be going on come election day. And as I told you, that they will be at the point in the trial where Pompeo and that group polluters. Then it goes before the Supreme Court, and she will time it so that from the time the appellate court rules against him, that the Supreme Court will not be able to rule prior to the election. That's what she's looking at timing-wise, not Super Tuesday.
Okay, and then knowing that she knows a lot of dirty tricks, why isn't she using them to get rid of the squad?
She's afraid of the squad. She is afraid right now of the newbies that came in 2018. A bunch of new people came in 2018, and they are the far left group. And apparently, I have not run the count, but she has. There obviously is enough in that group that it could have her. So she has to be afraid of them. She has to. And I don't believe she could pull a dirty trick right now on the squad and get by with it. The squad has too big of a caucus, too big a group. What if?
People are worried about Roger Stone going to jail and getting a pardon.
I feel pretty certain, although I can't say with absolution because I don't know, but I feel pretty certain just due to the double standard that was applied to him that at some point Trump will pardon Stone. I just don't know when. I don't know if he will do it immediately after winning his second term. I just don't know. But I feel pretty sure he will pardon Roger Stone.
We just have to
I'm
hope.
not saying that because of any friendship with Stone or relationship with Stone. I just know President Trump is very upset, justifiably so, at the dual standard that has been applied to Stone in that group and General Flynn versus Comey and Clinton in that group.
Yeah, I think he was tweeting about that this morning.
What was he saying?
Exactly what you just said.
Well, I know that was his opinion a month ago when I was able to know for sure that was his opinion. I'd be surprised if he's changed. And apparently he hasn't. What else?
That's all I'm seeing. Have I missed somebody? So, okay, here I see a question mark. Hang on, I missed it. What about statute of limitations for Comey?
No, they're not running out. They will not run out on Comey. They will not run out on Comey.
Because he was involved in the coup, and that's treason, which has no limit, right? Or is there more than that?
That's part of it. But I assure you, law will act on issues that might have statute limitation problems. He will act on those with Comey. That will not be a factor with James Comey, folks. It will not. And you can put that in the bank as something that I have advanced told you. What else?
People are asking about Edward Snowden and Julian Assange. And Trump's opinion of them.
What about
what is Trump? What would Trump's opinion be? How would he feel towards them? Do you know how he feels about them?
Well, the last I knew of his opinion about them, it was not very high. Not very high. And I would not look for much relief from Trump in those people, that category.
Okay, will Giuliani be prosecuting anybody in the deep state on RICO, RICO, R-I-C-O?
He won't, because that's not what he can do. Giuliani is President Trump's attorney. He is not a prosecutor. Rudy Giuliani has no official prosecutory powers, folks. He's not a part of Barr's team. He's not a member of the Department of Justice. He is President Trump's personal attorney. All he can do is what he is doing, which is filing civil suits. If that helps answer that.
Yeah. John Doe says, I'd give my popcorn. Wait a minute. Just scrolled up. Oh shoot, where'd it go? I give my popcorn to sit in front of the TV and watch Giuliani at the impeachment proceedings.
I suspect Giuliani will be one of the people representing Trump in the impeachment trial. He will. He and Jay Sekulow will be representing the president as his attorneys. However, they will not be the Senate prosecutors. To my knowledge, right now, one of the Senate prosecutors will be Lindsey Graham. I do not know who the others will be, or the other. I don't think they know yet. They have not decided. Now, I'm pushing for Lindsey Graham to live up to his word. I don't have much faith in him doing it, but I am pushing for it. And by the way, I did not do the script last night. You know, Miriam, I couldn't.
Yeah.
But we will try to get it done for Mitch McConnell. But Lindsey Graham has stated several times on at least Sean Hannity that I've seen that he intended to enter a motion to have the Senate trial dismiss the impeachment articles due to the irregularities of the way the House handled the impeachment inquiry. I have tried and am still trying to force him to honor his word and to do just that. And what that means, guys, if a senator, such as Lindsey Graham, makes a motion that he brings forward, McConnell has to allow it to be voted on. And I would hope if that motion is allowed to be voted on, that there would be sufficient enough Republican senators to support that motion and to pass it. And at that point, we go back then to basically the summary dismissal of the trial. But I do not know if Graham is going to live up to his word. You cannot trust Lindsey Graham.
Well, especially with what Mitch McConnell is saying. Say that again?
Even if he brings a motion to McConnell to bring to the floor for summary dismissal of the trial, McConnell does not have to bring it to the floor for a vote.
Oh,
McConnell determines what goes on the floor and can be voted on.
well, that sounds like a game that they might play.
Could be, very well. May very well be. Gives him a way out, lives up to his quote-unquote word, and at the same time, it was rigged, never intended to actually happen. That is not beyond this bunch of characters. What else you got?
They're wondering if,
The reason I'm asking is because my phone is running rapidly. Whatever happened on my phone, I'm down to like 14% power. Something happened to it with that lightning strike.
do you think, can Justice Roberts run a fair trial?
Yes. Yes. He can. Now, you didn't ask me, will he?
Well, that's the next question.
Yeah, that I don't know. That I do not know. But in generalities, yes, he can run a fair trial. Will he? Who knows at this point? Remember, folks, it all boils down to the problem we have as a country. We cannot trust anyone at any level in our government. Anyone, except the exception of being President Trump. And I say that simply based off his actions, what he's done. He's done what he said he was going to do. He has yet to fail to try, at least, what he set out to do. But other than President Trump, folks, this is the problem. This is why we're in the shape we're in. This is why I've told you. The problem's not our representative republic form of government. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with our constitutional representative form of government, the one that our founding fathers set forth for us. Nothing is wrong with it. What's wrong are the people that are in it at all levels, from our congressmen to our Supreme Court justices to our professional, lifelong government bureaucrats. There's corruption rampant. We can't trust them. And what kind of country can we have when we can't trust any part of our government? What kind of government can we have? What kind of country can we have? It must be changed. It must be fixed. And to fix it, you've got to start. And we start with President Trump, November of 2020 this year. With that, Mary Ellen, I'm going to beg off because this phone's going to go dead any second.
Okie doke.
I'll be back tomorrow.
All right, thanks. I'll say what needs to be said.
All right, dear.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Good day.
All right, bye. He got no money yesterday at all, except for I think there were a few people who said they were donating. Everything adds up if we get enough people. He did get money this morning to get his treatment, which is why he's here today. So if anybody can do anything for him, I'm just going to do it quickly. His PayPal account is the fastest way to help, and that's nicholslive@aol.com. If you go to the website nicholslive.com, there's a link to the donate page and a direct link to his PayPal account. There's his mailing address, my phone number. That information with my phone number and the PayPal account is also in the description box directly underneath here. Somebody asked about Michelle Obama running, and she said in the past that she wasn't interested. There have been a lot of people who've been asking her to run. Whether she will change her mind or not remains to be seen. Somebody asked about Larry not having a law degree. Larry knows an awful lot about the law because of his experience, because of his reading, because of his education. No, he does not have a law degree, but in all the lawsuits that he did all but one of the lawsuits that led to Bill Clinton's impeachment. And he did all those himself. He did everything pro se. He has argued before the highest court in the land, pro se. He's only the second person in history, American history, to have done that. He's a brilliant person, no matter what he tries to claim. So, Val, be careful about talking about the unsealed indictments. Larry has told us over and over again that that's not how it works. I know who puts that out, but unsealed indictments may just be the drug pushers that are next to be picked up. So it doesn't mean that anybody high level is going to be on that list, because that's not the way it works. Larry has said that Trump doesn't think too highly of Assange or Edward Snowden, so the chances of a pardon are kind of slim. But I agree that Assange certainly let us know things that were going on, and we knew a lot more because of what he put out than we ever would have known in 2016. And I certainly appreciated what I learned that from WikiLeaks. It didn't change how I voted, but it certainly made me a more informed voter, or more strong, more dedicated to what I was doing. That's it. That's it for today, and we're just ending a minute early. So I want to say thanks for being here. Thank you, folks, for the same ones who have so faithfully given and given and given week after week and month after month and day after day. You are a very, very special group of people, and I know how much Larry appreciates you and appreciates what you have done. If you have not been able to do anything, it is understandable. I know even to put $1 in the mail is going to cost 50 cents or close to it for a stamp. So the chat is reminding me that we need to use common sense and use logic when we are listening to stories and thinking about things. A couple questions that we threw at Larry today, Rindy and I did. His answer was just very basic common sense. For example, the question came this morning about the judge in Arkansas who had the case in his courtroom for Hunter Biden and what's going on with his love child there in Arkansas. And the judge has recused himself from that from that story, from that prosecution. And Larry was asked this morning, do you think, how are we supposed to respond to his dropping out? And Larry said, if it were me, if he had been the judge, he probably would have done the very same thing. And it was just a common sense thing. This is a hot potato. And if you don't want to be making waves in your career, depending on where you are in your career life, recusing is probably a smart way to go. So he wasn't likely to jump on any kind of conspiracy that he necessarily had been threatened. There will be people that might think that, but he said, it's just, in Larry's opinion, it was just a wise move. So that's the kind of common sense that he is encouraging us to use. Think about it. some people have called me on different issues, and we've talked about, well, what about, and one of the things I was talking about today, I said, well, common sense or just a natural response would be, and we went one direction. I said, now, if you're conspiratorial, you might think, and we discussed going a different direction. But why become conspiratorial about something if there's a rational, logical answer? So, John, thank you. Thank you for your donation. Let me tell you, numbers make a difference when there are large donations. We only need a few. When there are small donations, we need more. And that's the deal. So that's enough said on that. And we are past an hour. So thanks for being here. We will talk tomorrow. God bless you. And if anybody wants to get on the conference call with us, that number is listed down below, and I'm getting on there right now with Barb. So she's the one that runs the website. Well, Jay Sekulow will definitely be at the trial, and John, and probably Rudy Giuliani, and I'm not sure who else. So if he's only allowed two, it's probably those two. And so that's it. Thanks a lot. God bless you. Bye.